You might be wondering why I'm lying on my back on a chair like this. Well, if you've ever had SI joint pain, then I'm going to show you 3 ways that I fix my own SI joint pain. This has happened to me on numerous occasions, where you get that pinchy spot right at the top of your glutes, and it's just excruciating. But like I said, these 3 things are going to help you overcome SI joint pain and make it feel good again.
Okay, this first movement is one of my absolute favorite movements for people with SI joint pain, especially if you're experiencing what's known as acute SI joint pain, meaning it came on like this, okay? What this movement is going to do is decompress your hip socket, which is going to allow yourself to not move through the pelvis as much, and oftentimes this can help relieve SI joint pain in as little as 1 session. So let me describe why this works so well. So I have this half of a pelvis right here, and what you can imagine is the spine goes up like this, the nerves come down the spine, they innervate through here, down into the leg, and that's what gives the leg the ability to fire its muscles and do everything that the leg does. SI joint pain is where the sacroiliac joint, so this joint right here, meets the spine. Okay, and when that joint receives too much movement, it can pinch down on the nerves and it can cause SI joint pain. And part of the reason why that can happen is this. This is the hip socket right here. Now, the hip socket can be really jammed inside the hip joint, and if that's the case and it's really tight, then when we walk, it's going to cause the pelvis to move like this, along with the bone, the femur right here, and that's going to force this SI joint to move with it, which is going to cause inflammation and pain. But this particular movement is going to decompress the joint, meaning this hip socket is going to create a little more space than it normally has. And when it does that, these muscles relax and it allows the hip socket to move forward and backward without the pelvis tipping forward and backward with it, thus making the SI joint feel significantly better. All right. So what you're going to need is a chair, and here's how to get started. So what you're going to do is come down on the ground. You're going to lay down on your back like this and put your legs up on the chair. Now from there, you're going to walk your body down until your butt is right at the bottom of the chair. The goal is to have your legs going straight up like this. Now, the height is also important. What we want to make sure is that whatever's underneath your calves is going to make it so that it feels like if you drive your heels down, that your thigh is going up like this. If it's not tall enough and I put it like this, there's nothing pulling my leg this direction to create that space in the hip socket. We got to put something usually behind the knees, behind the calves, that's going to create that space, okay? You can keep a little bit of space between your knees. It doesn't really matter. They don't have to be together. They don't have to be extra wide, just whatever feels extra comfortable for you. Now, in this position, we're going to tilt our pelvis, okay? So don't let your pelvis go like this, where your lower back is off the ground like this. Instead, we want to push the lower back into the ground and start trying to point the tailbone up towards the sky. And from there, I like to do this. I like to walk my body up without moving my lower body. Just kind of wiggle it. You're trying to create length in the spine while keeping the lower back and the tailbone pushed into the ground, okay? Now, once you've got this position, you could either grab your phone or a book or something, and you can hang out and read right here, or you can, relax, close your eyes, put your palms toward the sky to help that upper body posture as well. And you can just apply a little bit of pressure, curling your heels toward the chair. As you can see, when I curl my heels toward the chair, my knees go up, and that means my pelvis has to come down to create space inside the hip socket. What you're going to do here is you're going to hold this position, ideally for 10 to 30 minutes. And you're going to do this every single day until that SI joint pain starts to go away or become minimized. If we do this every single day, usually only a day, 2 days, 3 days, we'll start to feel significant relief in the SI joint. And that's because we're creating space inside the hip socket, and we're kind of divorcing the movement from the leg and the pelvis that were once kind of welded together. This is such a fantastic movement, and it's so easy to do. So if you're experiencing SI joint pain right now, then flip over, lie down on your back. You're probably watching this on your phone right now. Put it in front of you, and you can keep scrolling through whatever platform you're on, right? But start doing this today. It's going to decompress the hips, decompress that lower back. It's going to start helping that SI joint pain go away a little bit faster. Now, once that SI joint pain starts to go away, then you can try this stretch next. Okay, after your SI joint pain has gone down just a little bit, it doesn't have to be gone, but just a little bit, we're going to continue with a stretch for the glutes and the hip external rotators, which again, if they're tight, they're going to compress the hip and they're going to pull on that SI joint. So follow along. This is a great movement you can do, and you can even do this one while lying in bed. So it's a fantastic movement for people who are experiencing SI joint pain who can't even sit upright. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk your feet up towards your butt like this. Then you're gonna take one foot and you're gonna cross it over your knee like this, okay? Now, it doesn't matter if you're all the way down here, if you're all the way up here, it really doesn't matter. What you wanna do is then slide your foot up as high as you can until you start to feel a stretch on the outside of the hip of the leg that's bent with the ankle crossed over the knee. So this leg right here is gonna feel a slight stretch from there, okay? Now what you can do is one of two things in this position. You could either take a towel and loop it over your foot and pull that foot towards you like this, if that feels good and you get that stretch on the outside of this hip, or you can take your hands and see this little triangle right here? You can dive your hands through that triangle, grab the back of your knee, and pull your knee towards your body. This is my favorite way to do it. And hold this position, really feeling that stretch on the outside of the hip on this side over here. And as you do this, you're gonna take a big breath in, and as you exhale, try to bring that towards you. Now, another thing that can be really helpful is this. If you don't feel that stretch, or if you feel like your knee's crossing over your body and you feel a little bit more compression on the front side of your hip rather than a stretch on the outside, as you grab the back of your knee right here, you have your ankle over your knee, you grab the back of your knee, take this elbow here and push it against that knee as you pull forward. This is going to pry the hip outward like this, which is going to create a nice amount of external rotation of the knee. That's going to get a deeper stretch inside those muscles inside the hip that we want to stretch, okay? Now hold this for around 1 minute to 2 minutes on the left side, and then switch and do it on the right side. And just if this is too hard for you guys, if this is too hard for you to grab the back of your knee, again, you can just bring your knee across like this. You can slide your foot up as high as you can. And if you want, you can also apply that same pressure with your hand by pushing the knee out, and you'll feel that stretch on the outside of the hip. And that'll be a good starting point for us to build the flexibility to then relax that hand and then grab the back of the knee and pull it towards our bodies. So start doing this one every single day. You can do it once a day. You can do it twice a day. It's going to loosen up those hips, which are going to further help you relieve yourself from SI joint pain. I got one more tip for you that's going to help you strengthen your body so you can avoid getting SI joint pain in the future. Okay, this last one is fantastic for strengthening your body in what's called a contralateral fashion. And what that means is we're going to strengthen our core's ability to stabilize, to stay in the middle when our left arm is moving and our right leg is moving. Now, this is how we walk, or it's how we're supposed to walk, but oftentimes we lose the strength in this contralateral pattern in our core, and it can cause us to move differently through one side of our body, which then that imbalance can create that SI joint pain. So we're going to try to create more balance from the glutes all the way to the neck, okay? And this move is called the bird dog. So we're going to start by doing it on our hands and knees like this. You can do this in bed also if it feels more comfortable for you to kneel, but make sure whatever you're doing this on, your knees should not hurt from pushing into the ground. Nice soft carpet, rolled up towel, pillow, or in your bed is a fantastic place to do this. Now, find your support, and what you're going to do is try to find a nice neutral spine. So what does that mean? That means we're not rounding our back forward like this, and it means we're not arching our back excessively like this. We think about it as just a slight curve to the spine with a slight little dip in the lower back. A great way to practice this too, as a special tip, is you can take a water bottle and you can put it on the small of your lower back and see if you can balance that water bottle on your lower back as you do this movement. I'll show you that in a sec. So from there, what you're gonna do is this. You're gonna shift your weight to one knee. In this case, I'm gonna shift to my left knee, and I'm gonna start to lift my right leg and extend through the heel while keeping the hips parallel to the ground. So I'm not twisting like this. I'm just pushing the heel back, keeping my hips parallel to the ground, and I'm not dropping my hip down like this either. My hips are staying square to my shoulders. So square here, parallel to the ground. Now from there, you're gonna take the opposite hand and see if you can lift it with your thumb pointing towards the sky and hold for a second while you're squeezing this motion, and then slowly come back down together, okay? From there, we're gonna switch sides, starting with the leg, pushing the leg through the heel, making sure the hips are parallel to the ground, they're square to the shoulders. Now lifting the opposite hand, thumb towards the sky, hold for a few seconds, and then bring it back down. Now at first, this might be incredibly challenging for you. And what you might have to do is just focus on just the lower body, just lifting the one leg out, extending it, checking your hip position, making sure you're not opening or dropping the hip, right? And then switching to the other side. Now, after you go to that, you can go to the variation I showed you first, which is leg first, hand second, and slowly come back down under control. The final variation is, could you lift your leg and your hand at the same time? So same thing, nice neutral spine position. Now lift the leg and the hand at the same time and find that perfect balance through the core. Hips are still square to the ground, they're not dropping, and slowly come back down under control. And repeat it on the opposite side. Slowly but surely holding the end position and coming back and forth like this. This is amazing, but let me show you one more variation that'll give you a better talent. Okay, for this variation, if you really want to challenge the balance you have in your core, take a water bottle, and it's ideal to have it filled up with water because it gets it a little bit heavier. Put it on the small of your lower back, just like this. Now, what we're trying to do is this. As we do this movement, it shouldn't roll off this way, and it shouldn't fall off either side. That's going to give us a sense of whether or not we're holding our pelvis in the proper position. So holding this position, slow and controlled, lift one leg and one arm, coming out through the heel, thumb towards the sky, and then slowly come back down. Again, trying to maintain your pelvic position and your core position the entire time and not letting that water bottle slide off, all right? If you can do this variation of the movement for 1 minute, slow and controlled, then you will have definitely strengthened that contralateral pattern of your core and hopefully reduce the risk of getting SI joint pain in the future. All right, so there you have it. 3 things that I did to fix my own SI joint pain. I hope you follow along to each one of these 3 things so you can reduce that acute pain you're getting from your SI joint, open up those muscles of your hips so that they loosen up and you hopefully don't get it in the future, and then strengthen that contralateral pattern of your core so that you definitely don't get that SI joint pain in the future. Now, if this video is interesting to you, I really think you're gonna like this video right here. And if you've had back pain and you're thinking to yourself, what workout's right for me? Well, let WeShape build you a workout right here.